We're joined by Temitope Kolade, Senior Manager and Lead ESG and Climate Change Services at Andersen. Thank you so much, Temitope, for joining us at this time.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
All right, so how will the shift to Naira-denominated crude oil sales impact Nigeria's balance of payments, foreign exchange reserves, and of course the overall macroeconomic stability?
Okay, to put it very clearly, I think there are two sides to it, the short-term and the medium-term impact. When we look at the short-term impact, what it would mean is that the sort of foreign exchange that would have been expected from the portion that would be given to Dangote now, if it were sold to the export markets, would have given us some foreign exchange earnings, and so it would appear that that will now be taken in Naira. So there is going to be a bit of mismatch as to how much you're really receiving in terms of foreign exchange earnings, and that could impact on the rates if that's to support the sort of foreign exchange that is available for supply in the local market. But on the other side, we also need to look at the medium term, in which we begin to slow down on the imports on the petroleum products in Nigeria, and so we do not exactly need to get the exchange rates, the foreign exchange to procure those items from outside Nigeria. I think, again, the good side that people may not already see, even in the short term, is that currently, if Dangote were to purchase those items, were to import crude, it would require USD and foreign exchange, foreign currencies to do that. And so it wouldn't need that anymore. So again, even in the short term, we expect that there would be a bit of management of the sort of foreign exchange rates that we have.
So then, looking at the fact that crude export might drop, how do you think that will now affect Nigeria's earnings and revenues, of course, because that is one thing when it comes to generating revenue to run the economy?
I think in terms of earnings for Nigeria, nothing would change significantly. At the moment, what we see is the rate. Again, taking it back from the last comments that I made, at the moment, there is a bit of subsidy that you may not see exactly, but it does happen, or it's something that is in vogue when you're making some legal transactions. You could get USD, for instance, to get some imports done into Nigeria. So Dangote at the moment would have to, import crude and pay for that in foreign currencies. If it doesn't have to do that anymore, that's a gain for Nigeria, because it would mean that you could use Naira to purchase that. Again, at what rate is it going to buy it? Buy the crude from NNPCL, for instance. The rate is also determined by the going rate in the market. And again, that gives some revenue assurance to the government. If the government had gotten those in foreign currencies or originally, be that sold to the export market, it would also exchange whatever it's got to determine its revenue by looking at the going rate. So in a way, there is a bit of balance that we see there. And if anything at all, I think we should look at the positive side to this order from the president.
Well, you said it will actually guarantee revenue coming to the Nigerian government. What about the masses? Would it actually guarantee any sort of reduction in what is to be paid in terms of pump price?
Well, in the long run, it should, because we'd expect that if you cut out all of the logistics that would have been done if we were importing from outside of Nigeria the petroleum products, it would mean that we should get it at a better price because we now produce locally. We now have those refined products locally. So expectedly, in the long run, we should expect, even in the medium term, we should expect the slowdown of the hiking cost of refined products, especially again because if you allow a free market to run, it would mean that the imports market would have to compete with the local market, and there would be some equilibrium achieved in that, and it would be the best price that Nigerians would be getting it. Again, it would impact on the macroeconomic factors as well, in which case we've talked about the foreign exchange balance that will see for the country in itself. So it's a good way to go, because it means that we don't have to take local currencies, convert them to foreign currencies before we purchase crude and then bring them back, refine, and then begin to sell. So it's better for the masses in a way if things are done in the right way, because, you know, economies in Nigeria can be special, can be different, because there are some extraneous factors that need to be looked at.
Okay, so this actually looks pretty good, but then are there potential risks associated with this policy that we may need to also consider? And the fact that the government would be managing the incessant fluctuations in crude oil production, we need to also talk about that too.
Okay, well, if you think about risk, one of the things that people are talked about, whether real or not, is the issue of liquidity and the ability of Dangote to pay. But I think that that ability should be there, but it's also something that in business you will typically worry about, that how liquid is that Dangote Refinery to ensure that those payments get to the NNPCL, the government, and so we do not have issues. Again, currency volatility is still an issue because you really want to think about at what rate. Even if NNPC were to sell those in Naira, it will be denominated. I mean, the global crude oil price will still be a benchmark for determining that. And so we also then need to look at what's the rate that we'll be considering for the exchange to even purchase those in Naira. So those are some inherent risks that you will think about. Again, we've seen issues around the ability of the regulator to warm up to the new operator within the system. And so the market acceptance is something that we might also want to consider, but I would like to see the positive sides much more than the negatives, but the risks are there, and there are things that I believe that the parties could work out things to deal with such and ensure that we have a smooth sail.
All right. Thank you so much, Temitope Kolade, for talking to us.
Thanks for having me again.